Welcome to the Traveling Zen Space. This is a yoga stretch sequence for upper body and hip flexibility. Grab any and all props that you may need for support for today's session, and feel free to skip, modify, or find a different variation of any of the postures if they don't work for you. And remember, your body is the guru. Honor and listen to it. Let's take an easy seated pose, Sukhasana. Take a moment to allow yourself to arrive in your practice, just taking a few breaths to ground. Let's find our way into a tabletop position, with the knees stacked under the hips, knees hips distance apart. Wrists are shoulders distance apart. Spread the fingers wide with the fingertips pointed forward. We're going to circle the upper body over the wrists in one direction, just warming up the wrists and stretching that connective tissue. Then you'll switch to your circular motion in the other direction. Now we'll bring the fingertips to point to the sides of the mat, and then we'll move in a side-to-side motion, moving left and right over the wrist. Taking your time and checking in with how the wrists and the hands and the shoulders feel, and breathing into that sensation. And now we'll take the fingertips to point towards the knees. Being gentle here, and if this doesn't work for you, you can keep your hands in any of the other positions that we just did prior. You'll draw the shoulders away from the ears, and you can start to pulse back and forth, just checking in with your range of motion and going in as far as you can. On your next inhale, you're going to release here. Just take a seat on the calves and roll out the wrists. And open and close your fists, releasing the stretch. Let's bring the hands forward and bring the knees back a little bit. We're just going to invite some movement in the spine. We're warming up and lubricating the muscles that line the spinal cord. And then we'll come into some large hip circles, circling the hips in one direction. And when you come forward, send the heart forward. Move at your own pace, intuitively feeling what the body needs. And then you'll switch the direction of the hip circles. Come back up to center, into tabletop, and we're going to move through some cat-cows. On an inhale, drop the belly, lift the tailbone, send the heart forward, and on an exhale, round through the upper back. As you inhale, draw the shoulders down and the heart forward with the tailbone up, and then push the ground away as you round through your back. Link your breath and your movement and move at your own pace through some more cat-cows. Find a neutral spine and tuck the back toes under. Get those pinky toes also. And you can keep the hands flat on the ground, pushing the hips back towards the heels for our toe stretch. If you want to get a little bit deeper, you'll just walk the hands back towards the knees to come and sit on the calves. Soften the shoulders down and soften the jaw and the muscles of the face. Just checking in with the body and make sure you're not holding any other tension or clenching anywhere else in the stretch. Inhale to release. Set the hands on the ground and then tuck the back toes and come into tabletop position. Bend the left knee in a 90-degree angle and send the knee out to the left. And we're just going to make some large hip circles here. You can make the circles as big or as small as you want, inviting movement and blood flow to the biggest joint in the body. We're going to release here, setting the left knee down. And we're going to move over to the right side, taking the right knee over to the right, and just continuing with the hip circles. On your next inhale, you'll release. And you're going to keep the knees stacked right under the hips. You're going to walk the hands forward to come and melt your heart down for puppy pose, resting your head either on a blanket or a block or on the ground. And engage your abdominals to keep a nice flat back. Release puppy pose. Take an inhale and engage your abdomens a little bit more and push into the ground to come upright. And then exhale to come lie flat on the stomach, preparing for Sphinx pose. Take a hold of each elbow, making sure that the elbows are stacked under the shoulders. And then on your forearms, send the fingertips forward, drawing the shoulders down and back. Slightly tuck your chin down to keep the back of the neck elegant, soft, and long. And check in with the buttocks and just make sure that you're not clenching your buttocks. You can shake the hips from side to side. And you have the option to stay here in stillness in Sphinx pose, drawing the shoulders down. Or you can make some half circles with the neck, taking one ear to one shoulder, rotating through the middle, and sending the opposite ear to the opposite shoulder. Bring the head back through center, holding Sphinx pose for a couple of breaths. And then we'll release, bringing the chest and the head down. We're going to move into a half frog. You're going to take the left knee and bend the left knee out to the left, making a 90-degree angle with the knee. Just come to lie flat, relaxing the hips down as you breathe here. If you want to move a little bit deeper into the neck, you'll take your gaze over to the right, so coming to rest down on the left cheek. On an inhale, release, come back to center, bringing the left knee back flat on the ground, and take the right knee out over to the right. The right knee is in line with the right hip. You're making a 90-degree angle with the knee. Laying down flat, letting the body grow heavy. And if you took the neck twist on the left side, you'll take it here. So coming to rest down on the right cheek, looking to the left. Inhale to release, drawing that right knee back to center. We're going to come into a shoulder stretch. Stretch the left arm out into a T to the left, coming to rest down on the left cheek, so you're gazing over to the right. Draw the right hand towards the body and rotate onto the left side of your body, on your left hip. You can keep the right leg long, stacked right on top of the left leg, or you can bend into the right knee, placing the right foot behind the left leg. On your next inhale, come back to center, flat on the ground, moving over to the right. The right arm is stretched long to the right. Draw the left hand and let it support you as you push and roll your body onto your right side body. You can bend the left knee, setting the left foot behind the body, drawing both the shoulders away from the ears. Inhale to release and roll flat onto the stomach. We're going to tuck the toes under and push the body up. We're going to push into the hands and come into downward facing dog. Push the hips up and back. Send the heart towards the upper thighs and keep a nice generous bend in the knees as you pedal out through the feet, stretching into the glutes and the hamstrings. On your next inhale, come up onto both tiptoes, and then exhale to sink the heels down towards the ground. And do this one more time, inhaling up on both tiptoes, and then exhaling, sinking the heels down. Then on your next inhale, draw the right leg back and up, and bend into the right knee, sending the right heel over to the left. So you're opening the right hip, but keeping the shoulders squared. On your next exhalation, step the right foot forward to the outside of the right hand, keeping the left knee up in this high lizard, and rock back and forth on the back left toes. And we're going to set the left knee down, untuck the left toes, coming into our lizard position, sending the heart forward, shoulders back towards the hips. You can always place blocks here right under the hands. Just breathing and see if you can sink the hips down lower as you exhale. Releasing lizard, we're going to heel toe the right foot over to the left side of the mat, coming into pigeon pose. The right shin can be parallel with the front of the mat, or you can draw the right heel towards the groin. Use the left back toes to open up your pigeon a little bit longer and move the left knee back. Use the fingertips to push into the ground, elongate the spine. And then on an exhale, you'll melt the head down onto a block or onto the ground or stacked fists. If there's a gap between the ground and your hips, you can always place a block or a folded blanket to eliminate the space. Pigeon pose is a great pose to maintain hip flexibility. On an inhale, push into the ground. Tuck the left toes under and send the hips back up for downward facing dog and just pedal out to release. Inhale, come up onto both tiptoes, and then exhale, send both of the heels over to the right. And you're going to inhale back up through center, and then exhale, send both of the heels over to the left now. Come back to center in your down dog, take a breath, and then send the left leg back and up, bend into the left knee and send the left heel over to the right. And then as you exhale, step the left foot forward to the outside of the left hand, staying up in this lizard, and just rock back and forth over the back right foot. And then set the right knee down, untuck the back toes, and make sure that your knee and your ankle are aligned. Just breathing into your lizard pose, using any props under the hands, and taking note to the sensation of the right and left hip. They may not feel the same, they may not be symmetrical, and that's okay. We're going to inhale to release, and we're going to heel toe the left foot over to the right, setting up for our pigeon pose, using any props under the left hip if needed on this side, and using the right toes to walk that right knee back a little bit. Then you're going to take a moment to inhale, lengthen the back, send the heart forward. Then exhale to melt the chest forward and bring your forehead to land either on your fists, a block, or any other prop. Soften the back of the heart here. Make sure you're not clenching up or holding in any other area of the body. Inhale to release, pushing the hands into the ground. tucking the right toes under and stepping back into downward facing dog. Taking a little pedal out here to release the hip. And then we'll find our way into our child's pose. Dropping the knees down, bring the big toes to touch. You can keep the knees together or take the knees out wide. Then walk the hands forward, melting the heart forward, bringing the forehead down on a block, a blanket, or just onto the ground. We're going to take our child's pose into a side stretch. As you inhale, you'll walk the hands over to the left side of your mat, stretching into the right side of the body, allowing the hips to grow heavy and sink, and breathing into the right ribs. Inhale, release, and walk the hands through center and stretch over to the right side. Plugging the hips down, especially the left hip, softening your heart, the back of the heart, and the shoulders. Inhale to release, come back to center. I'm going to swing the legs around and find our way flat on our backs. And if you have a yoga strap, you can grab a yoga strap or an old belt if you don't have a yoga strap. And we're going to inhale and draw the right knee towards the chest, keeping the left knee bent, the left foot flat on the ground, and you can make some ankle rotations here with the right ankle. Moving deeper into the hips, you can lengthen out the left leg flat and long. We're going to use our yoga straps to come into a hamstring stretch. So first, bend the left knee, bring the left foot flat on the ground if you extended it long, and take the yoga strap and loop it around the arch of the right foot and extend the right leg long, sole of the foot pointed up. Flex the right toes towards your face. Relax your shoulders here. Plug the right hip into the ground and breathe into the right hamstring. If you want to move deeper, you'll extend the left leg long. Let's inhale to release and switch over to the opposite side. Bring the right foot flat on the ground and hug the left knee in towards the chest, grabbing hold of either behind the left thigh or the shin, and just make some ankle rotations with the left ankle. Extend the right leg long here in knee to chest pose if you want to move a little bit deeper. Grab your yoga strap and loop it around the arch of the left foot. Extend the left leg long. Flex the toes towards the face, draw the shoulders down and back. You can keep a soft bend in the left knee if the hamstring is tight. And if you want to move deeper, you can always extend the right leg long. Meeting our body where it is today, not concerned about how far or how close the leg gets to the face, but just breathing into the stretch sensation. On your next inhale, release the legs down. Bring the feet flat to the ground, about mat distance apart, and we'll move into a gentle spinal twist, dropping the knees over to the left and coming through center and dropping them over to the right. And just breathing here, dropping the knees back and forth, releasing the spine and the hips. We'll come back to center. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together, letting the knees fall to the left and right for a reclined butterfly. And this is a great place to grab your blocks and place them right under the knees, bringing the ground higher. And this will allow the hips to relax. We're going to release here, gently bringing the knees towards each other. And then hug the knees in for Apanasana when relieving pose. You can gently rock from side to side, releasing the back body. Then we're going to grab the outer edges of the feet, bringing the soles together. And you can stay here, pushing the knees away from the shoulders, or you can open up the legs wide into happy baby pose, pulling the knees down towards the shoulders and pressing the heels towards the sky. If you can't reach the feet, you can always grab the ankles or the shins. You could hold it in stillness or rock from side to side. And if you want to invite a little bit more stretch into the hamstrings, you can begin to lengthen out one leg and then lengthen out the opposite leg, checking in with our range of motion and inviting any last bit of movement before we move into our final resting pose. Release happy baby here, and let's move into our Shavasana, our corpse pose. Lengthen the legs out long, letting the arms rest by the sides with the palms facing up. You could take corpse pose like this, or I invite you to take a reclining bound angle for our final pose, bringing the soles of the feet back together, placing a block under the knees, plugging the shoulders into the ground, tucking the scapulas behind the upper back, closing the eyes here, breathing into stillness, calming the hips by releasing the hips, letting the back grow heavy, softening the back of the heart, the front of the heart, and the shoulders, releasing the muscles of the face, releasing any tension and holding, resting in stillness. Inhale to make small movements in the fingers and the toes, and if you're in reclining bound angle pose, you'll use the hands to bring the knees back together. And then find your way to a side lying position. Take a moment to extend gratitude to yourself for prioritizing your self-care in your mind and your body. And on an inhale, gently press into the ground, keeping the body soft and the gaze soft or the eyes closed. You'll find easy seated pose, our Sukhasana. Observe the state of the body and the breath. Observe if there's any difference from when you started to this moment right here, right now. On an inhale, sweep the arms out, around, and up. The palms come to touch overhead. And bring the palms to come rest on the forehead as a reminder that you are the master of your Zen. Palms come to rest at the lips as a reminder to communicate our truth with authenticity and kindness. Palms come to rest at the heart center as a reminder to know thyself and love thyself. Thank you for practicing with me. peace and ease to you. If you enjoyed this session and it helped you, please share it with someone it can help. If you want to continue to practice and find ease in the body, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll be aware of when I post. Until next time.